Air, weather and climate. Today we will learn about what is weather, what is climate, difference between climate and weather, why temperature varies place to place, what is temperature, what is atmospheric pressure, how winds blow and types of wind, what are cyclones, what are evaporation, condensation and precipitation and how do they occur, different types of clouds, different types of rainfall. What is weather? Weather is a state of the atmosphere at a particular place during a short period of time. It involves such atmospheric phenomena as temperature, humidity, precipitation, type and amount, air pressure, wind, and cloud cover. What is climate? Climate is the long-term pattern of weather in a particular area. Weather can change from hour to hour, day to day, month to month, or even year to year. A region's weather patterns, usually tracked for at least 30 years, is considered its climate. Why does temperature vary place to place? The temperature varies place to place because of variation of the amount of sunlight, altitude, distance from sea, winds and ocean currents. Variation of sunlight means the equator and the areas near it receive more sunlight because they strike directly and focus on a smaller area. On the other hand, the solar radiation spreads over a wider space near the poles. What is temperature? Temperature is a physical quantity that expresses hot and cold. It is the manifestation of thermal energy, present in all matter, which is the source of the occurrence of heat, a flow of energy, when a body is in contact with another that is colder or hotter. It is measured by an instrument called thermometer. The C unit of temperature is Kelvin, K, but the commonly used unit is degrees Celsius. It was invented by Anders Celsius in the Celsius scale. The freezing point and boiling point of water are 0 C and 100 C, respectively. What is atmospheric pressure? The air around you has weight, and it presses against everything it touches. That pressure is called atmospheric pressure, or air pressure. It is the force exerted on a surface by the air above it as gravity pulls it to Earth. Atmospheric pressure is commonly measured with an instrument called barometer. The unit of measurement is millibar, MB. The standard air pressure is maximum at sea level and is equal to 1013 megabytes. Aircraft create artificial pressure in the cabin so passengers remain comfortable while flying. Atmospheric pressure is an indicator of weather. When a low-pressure system moves into an area, it usually leads to cloudiness, wind, and precipitation. How winds blow and types of wind. The movement of air from a high-pressure area to a low-pressure area is called a wind. In places where the temperature is high, hot air rises and creates low pressure. The cooler and heavier air from the adjacent areas tries to fill up the vacant space. The air generally blows from a high-pressure zone to a low-pressure zone in order to maintain a state of equilibrium, that is, equal pressure in both the areas. Wind direction can be determined by an instrument called a wind vane, whereas wind velocity can be measured by an instrument called an anemometer in the unit kilometer per hour, kmph. The three different types of winds are: the winds that blow constantly throughout the year are called permanent winds. They also blow constantly in a particular direction. There are types of permanent winds. 1. Trade winds. These are permanent winds flowing from east to west. It flows in the Earth's equatorial region, between 30 N and 30 S latitudes. 2. Easterlies. It is a prevailing wind blowing from the east. The trade winds in tropical regions and the prevailing winds in the polar regions are easterlies. 3. Westerlies. These are prevailing winds that flow from the west towards the east. It flows in the Earth's middle latitudes between 30 and 60 degrees latitude. Also called as anti-trades, these winds originate from the high-pressure areas in the horse latitudes and trend towards the poles and steer extratropical cyclones in this general manner. What are cyclones? A cyclone is a storm accompanied by high-speed winds and heavy rains. It can cause large-scale destruction of life and property in the areas that it hits. Cyclones spin according to direction of the Earth's rotation, which is anti-clockwise in the northern hemisphere and clockwise in the southern hemisphere. Some cyclones are accompanied by severe thunderstorms, rains, and unusually strong winds. These cyclones can be extremely devastating and are called supercyclones. Bola cyclone. The 1970 Bola cyclone was a devastating tropical cyclone that struck East Pakistan, present-day Bangladesh, and India's West Bengal on November 11, 1970. It remains the deadliest tropical cyclone ever recorded and one of the world's deadliest natural disasters. At least 500,000 people lost their lives in the storm, primarily as a result of the storm surge that flooded much of the low-lying islands of the Ganges Delta. Bola was the sixth and strongest cyclonic storm of the 1970 North Indian Ocean cyclone season. What are evaporation, condensation and precipitation, and how do they occur? Evaporation: it is the process in which water, liquid state, turns into water vapor, gaseous state, by boiling it. The amount of water vapor in air is called humidity. It is measured by an instrument called hygrometer. Condensation: the process in which water vapor, gaseous state, cools down to form water, liquid state. Precipitation: after condensation, the tiny droplets of water in clouds. They get accumulated in the clouds and make them heavy and fall down as rain, snow, hail and sleet. Rain is measured by an instrument called rain gauge. It measured in centimeters or millimeters. Different types of clouds. Clouds are classified based on two major factors. 1. Physical form. 2. Height at which clouds are formed. Cirrus cloud. Cirrus clouds are formed at high altitudes of 8,000-12,000 m. They are detached thin clouds. They have a feathery appearance. They are always white. Cumulus clouds. Cumulus clouds are generally formed at a height of 4,000 m, 7,000 m. They look like cotton wool. They exist in patches and can be seen dispersed here and there. They have a flat base. Stratus clouds. Stratus clouds are horizontal. 2. Stratus clouds are stratified or layered clouds covering big portions of the sky. 3. These clouds are usually formed due to the mixing of air masses with various temperatures or due to loss of heat. 4. The presence of stratus clouds means chilly, overcast day. Different types of rainfall. Rainfall has been classified into three main types based on the origin: convectional rainfall, orographic or relief rainfall, and cyclonic or frontal rainfall. Convectional rainfall: the air on getting heated becomes light and rises in convection currents. As the air rises, it expands and drops the temperature, and subsequently, condensation takes place and cumulus clouds are formed. Heavy rainfall with lightning and thunder takes place, which does not last long. Such rain is usually in the summer or the hotter part of the day. This type of rainfall generally takes place in the equatorial regions and internal parts of the continents, predominantly in the northern hemisphere. This rainfall is usually associated with hail and graupel. Orographic rainfall: when the saturated air mass comes across a mountain, it is forced to rise. The rising air expands. Eventually, the temperature falls, and the moisture gets condensed. The principal characteristic of this type of rain is that the windward slopes get more rainfall. After giving rain on the windward side, when these winds reach the other slope, they drop away, and their temperature increases. Then, their ability to take in moisture increases, and hence, these leeward slopes remain dry and rainless. The region situated on the leeward side is known as the rain shadow area. Cyclonic rainfall: cyclonic activity causes cyclonic rain, and it occurs along the fronts of the cyclone. When two masses of air of unlike density, temperature, and humidity meet, then it is formed. The layer that separates them is known as the front. A warm front and the cold front are the two parts of the front. At the warm front, the warm lighter wind increases slightly over the heavier cold air. As the warm air rises, it cools, and the moisture present in it condenses to form clouds. This rain falls gradually for a few hours to a few days. How do weather and climate influence our lives? The weather influences our lifestyle and eating habits. There is a link between agriculture and climate. For example, wheat is cultivated in regions with cool and dry climates, while rice in regions with warm and moist air. Buildings are often painted white to reflect the heat of the sun in regions that experience hot climate. Houses in extremely cold climates are often built with stone and wood to prevent the escape of heat from houses. We wear clothes according to the weather conditions. For example, on a rainy day we wear gumboots and raincoats, but in the winter we wear warm clothes. Climate also affects people's physical characteristics. For example, people who live in mountainous areas have more hemoglobin, which absorbs oxygen. Their red blood cells are larger and hence have a greater surface area for oxygen absorption.